Hi, I'm Rocket with Wreckless Blenders, and welcome to Musings from Rocket's Cellar. Today's session, I'm going to talk a little bit about harvest, which has started, and a little bit about blending and what goes into blending at the beginning during harvest. Let's get started. So we're hot and heavy into harvest. We've picked the Fiano already, crushed it. We're about to pick the Sacramento in the next week, followed quickly by the Primitivo and then the Barbera. So things about this time, about mid-August, it catches me every year. I'm like, oh, what? And then it just goes crazy. And Miss Rocket, she's like, oh, I'm a wine widow from August, the end of August, all the way through October. Yeah. It's true. I am at the winery quite a bit during that time frame. And anyway, so it's going to be really a lot of fun this year. We're going to have the Wreckless Wine Days. The next one in Carmichael is August 28th. It's Saturday. It's from noonish to 4. Drop by. We'll probably be doing work in the winery. Either if we're not crushing or doing something like that, we'll probably be racking or punching on the cap, things like that. Bring your work shoes, your work shirts. If you want, you can get put to work. It's a lot of fun working in the winery. Quick update on the Wreckless Wine Days. So, like I said, August 28th, Friday, the last Friday of the month in Carmichael. And then September 4th is the one in Concord, noon to 4. And we didn't have one in August in Concord Beach for a lot of different reasons. Schedules just didn't allow it for me. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all. For those of you in the Bay Area who are going to drop by, it is a good time. For any of you who are Case Club members, I'm looking for a lull in the weather, just a little bit of a drop. And we're still kind of high 80s, low 90s right now. And I'm looking ahead 10 days trying to find out that, and I'll be in touch with you to say, you know, what would you like? I'll make a recommendation. You can change it. And then we'll get that going, then I'll ship you your wine. So, Case Club members, for those of you who don't know, one case a year, usually in September. And it's your choice. If you want to pick things out, you can do that. Or you could say, send us a recommended selection. And I'll usually pick the things that are tasting the best right now. And speaking of running low, the 2018s are almost gone. So please, if you are interested in picking those up, let me know. If you go to the website, store.wrecklessblenders.com, if you go there and it doesn't say that we have any, you can send me an email and check in, because it's not, we've got the inventory on the website and the inventory in the winery sometimes get out of sync, and sometimes we have stuff. I can't guarantee it, but I would rather you ask. And if we have some, we can work it out and figure it out. So, but definitely 2018's almost gone. Now the 2019s are starting to show up, and this is about the time when they wake up a bit and they look around. They're like, okay, we think we're going to be awesome. 2019 Wreckless Red right now is woken up and it is a rock star. It is going gangbusters. Same thing with the 19 Sangiovese. It is so yummy. I had one the other night. Oh, yum. That was wonderful. The 19 Barbera, I'm making a face because I think I'm going to have a little bit of that tonight, because the last time I tried it, it was still pretty closed. It was still in its, I'm not ready to come out of the bottle yet phase. And I want to make sure that, I don't even open it at tastings yet, because it's just not, it just hasn't been ready. So I'm hoping by this next wine, the Wreckless Wine Days, that it'll be ready and you'll get to try it. The other one to make sure you pick up some is the Fiano. The Fiano's almost gone, and if you have any interest in that, it has been a fantastic wine for the summer. I've just enjoyed the heck out of it. I've split it, I'll have a glass and I'll put the other stuff in the fridge and keep it really nice and cold. And just being able to pop that open and have a glass is just a lovely, lovely thing. one of the things I'd like to talk about is blending. I'm doing an overarching thing around blending that has to do with art and the science of it. Go through the whole process, talk about why we do certain things and why we don't do certain things. It's taking me a while to record this. It's taking me a while to research it, record it, and get it all structured. And I'm inviting Whiteboard Rocket in to give you some of the science behind it. It'll be a lot of fun. In the meantime, there's a lot of really cool things about blending that I thought I could talk about, and I don't have to have this overarching 3-part mini-series, if you will. It's not quite that bad, but you know what I mean. And one of the things that happens for blending is it's very difficult to, and in fact, we prefer not to blend out mistakes, or attempt to blend out mistakes. Any winemaker will tell you a good wine is usually, the origins of a good wine is good fruit, good growers, good conditions, and then careful processing through the life of the wine. But they'll start with good fruit. And if you have flawed fruit, or a flaw in the early parts of the wine, there are things you can do to correct. But if you get to the end, right, and you're ready to blend and you've got mistakes, you can't just say, oh, I'll blend that out or I'll cover it up. It rarely works, if ever, especially wineries our size. I mean, we don't have a lot of volume to blend mistakes out. What's happening now is the growers are finishing, you know, they're out in the fields on a regular basis, and they're measuring the amount of bricks or the amount of sugar that's in the grapes and the amount of acidity. And they're looking for a balance between these two things, because if you have low acidity, you're gonna have dull grapes. Or if you have too much acidity, it's gonna be this, you know, angry, pissed off wine in the end, and you're gonna have to do all this work on it. So you're looking for this nice balance. If you have too much bricks, you're gonna end up with this, either a jammy sugar bomb, it's gonna be high alcohol, and it's gonna be sweet, all these kinds of things, or it's gonna be difficult to balance, right? So the higher the bricks, the higher the alcohol is usually the equation. And it's, you know, rule of thumb is it's just a bit around half, right? So if you get 25 bricks, your alcohol is usually gonna be between 12.5 and 13.5% alcohol. Now that's not always true, but it's an easy enough equation. So if you do things at 28 bricks or 29 bricks, you get the higher end alcohol, and you get your big jammy zins. You know, Miss Rocket's a big fan of those big jammy zins, but you can't, it's hard to have more than one glass because, you know, you can't feel your nose. We do our very best not to end up with wines with high alcohol. That is one of we look for that balance. So things that you can enjoy, you know, you can enjoy a good amount of, and you're not feeling like you've been hit over the head. We have I'm not going to call it a formula, but we have a starting point in which we like to begin the process of making wine. After we've picked it, we've crushed it, we get the wine into the tubs and fermentation starts, and we're looking for a certain balance. And then there's this other element that we look for, which is we'd like to have the fermentation process go as long as we can. Now, somebody invented the term cold fermentation. That always made me scratch my head, but it just means you keep the wine cooler. In our case, we do two different things. We put ice in the wine, but we put it in a container to keep the juice cool. And the other thing we do is we put whole clusters, whole berries into the fermentation vats. And that will extend the fermentation for longer. And as a result, you get a bit more tannins, so you get a bit more structure, and you get a lot more flavor because you're getting flavor extraction, because the longer the juice is with the skins, the more flavors and flavonoids and all those scientific words come out of the skins and into the juice. And that just helps with making sure you've got these great characteristics of the varietal when you get to the end in 18 months, when you're getting ready to blend. You've got this thing that is an expression of the grapes from 18 months ago. This is fascinating for me. I hope it's fascinating for you. I hope you're learning something. I did try and document a lot of this last year. I did interview JT and talk to him about what were the numbers, and he talks about acidity, and he talks about bricks, and all these different things that we measure to make sure that we're at a good starting point at the beginning of our process. And unfortunately, it was not a great recording. So I brought all this equipment out there, I set it all up, and we started talking, and I missed one or two little things that I wasn't able to test before we started talking, just because we had all this work to do, and it was a bad recording. And I was like, oh God. So hopefully at some point I'll be able to do something a little bit more, you know, another one of these interviews with JT and trying to get it going. I'm gonna wrap up. I'm Rocket with Wreckless Blenders. This has been another Musings from Rocket Cellar.